wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, KUAW Wilson. Now, here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much, KUAW Wilson. Today is Saturday, July 19th, and we have the pleasure and the honor of welcoming a distinguished veteran and, by the way, member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, Brother Rodney Matthews. Yes, sir. And I was reciting that theme song because we don't always hear it all the way through, and I just wanted, when you ask the tenor of the program, that's what we say to our students. Don't just wave your grades, wave your community service.
Absolutely.
Wave your leadership. Okay. So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon, and would like something of as comfortable, informal, or formal as you would like, an introduction to Brother Rodney Matthews.
Well, good afternoon.
Good
and
afternoon.
Just a minor correction, it's Roger Matthews.
What did I say, Rodney? I'm sorry. I said it more than once. Roger Matthews, yes, sir.
And I am a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Army.
Okay.
24 years of service.
My God. A retired lieutenant colonel.
Yes.
Where'd you serve?
Well, in 24 years, a little bit everywhere.
I would imagine. My goodness gracious.
Let's see. Went in the Army in 1974.
Okay.
ROTC graduate out of Morgan State University.
Yes, sir.
Out of Baltimore, Maryland. And went to, I was initially Transportation Corps, which means in those days it was Fort Eustis, Virginia,
Okay.
for training. Then the flight school at Fort Rucker, Alabama for a year of flight training. After that, 6 months of additional flight training, I was a test pilot. So the Army decided to have me do that.
Yes, sir.
And 3 years at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, a year in Korea. Where did I go after Korea? 3.5 years at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, of all places.
Yes, sir.
After that, with schoolings in between, different, the one thing about the military, they don't have you do anything unless they send you to school first.
Okay.
For it. 3 years in Europe. I lived in the Netherlands, in Holland, for 3 years. Two
For 3
years in one
years.
place and 1 year in a different place in Holland.
Yes, sir.
Then another year of training at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, for the Command General Staff College. Then 2 years in Colorado, where I commanded an aviation helicopter company. After that, the first Gulf War hit, and I was
Yes.
assigned to the multinational force and observers in the Sinai in Egypt, flying the border between the Egyptians and the Israelis and watching them watch each other.
My God.
That was interesting.
Yes, sir.
After that, where did I go? Oh, after that, I took command of a aviation battalion in the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
My God. 101st is a distinguished historical.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
It really is. And I was very fortunate to command that battalion for 2 years.
My God.
Left there, and the Army, in its infinite wisdom, decided they wanted me to command a recruiting battalion in Ohio. So I was based in Columbus, Ohio. I had 58 recruiting stations all over Ohio and northern Kentucky. And I was going to retire then, but I got a phone call from a general that I used to work for who
Yes, sir.
decided that he needed an inspector general at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Wow.
And even though I tried to convince him that the family was ready for me to retire,
Yes, sir.
I was directed that I was going to do 18 more months.
My God. Well, let me tell you that the gentleman to whom you were speaking before we came on is Louis George Walker. Louis George Walker is responsible for this station, this studio. He founded KUAW.org, and those letters stand for knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And this gentleman, Louis George Walker, DeQuay Wilson, and I would not hesitate to tell Brother Roger Matthews that as impressed as we have to be with his service, we're equally impressed with your memory. That is absolutely a real tour of duty. And you were pretty young when you went in. Did you foresee 24 years? I know you could not have foreseen how many different responsibilities you
Well,
would have.
it's interesting because one of the things that came up, you've heard of the 6888.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my mother was in the 6888.
Vashti Murphy Matthews.
Yes, and Vietnam was going on when I was in college,
Okay.
and she directed that because the draft was still going on then, and she said, well, if you've got to go in, you're going in as an officer.
Wow.
And I had to show her, she didn't take my word for it, I had to show her that I was enrolled in ROTC.
Okay.
So when I graduated in 74, and then of course the war officially ended in 75.
Yes, sir.
And the draft stopped.
Yes, sir.
And the Army came to me and said, well, the war is winding down now, so if you don't want to go in, you don't have to. You can do
Exactly.
90 days and get out, go
Yes.
to training and get out, and be in the reserves. And my position at that point was I didn't do 4 years of ROTC to only do 90 days and get out. And plus, the Army had paid for my private pilot's license while I was in college.
My God.
So it just made sense to go on active duty and go to flight school. And the Army paid for it.
Was there any point at which you thought you might be a commercial pilot?
No, that was never anything that I thought about. They were recruiting people to go to Iran then. This is before
Ooh,
before
my
Iran
goodness.
fell. Because I was flying UH-1 or Hueys.
Yes.
You've probably seen, everybody's seen. You can look at Vietnam picture, you'll see the helicopters. Well, I flew those first, and they needed test pilots in Iran. And several friends of mine got out of the Army and went over. And then,
Wow.
then of course, the Shah fell, and all of that was gone. So I'm glad I stayed on active duty.
Yes, indeed.
But I had no intention. I did not know that there was no plan for me to do 24 years.
And by the way, DeQuay would be pleased to let you know that we have the honor of interviewing one of the 6888. And when I looked it up, and particularly Vashti Murphy Matthews, not realizing that our guest was not simply, if you will, related, but this is your mom.
It was my mother.
And she served in that unit during World War II. So one of the questions that you probably get from time to time, but just in case you do not, from what we have read and seen about the 6888, but great majority of those women were black women.
Yes.
So that as you had to matriculate, and when he told me about Lieutenant Colonel, did you find that race was ever a problem, and how did you deal with it?
For me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In particular, the first time it became obvious that there was an issue
Yes.
is when I first got to Fort Rucker, Alabama for flight school.
Oh boy.
So we're talking 1970. This is probably October, November of 1974. And Vietnam was winding down, so
Yes,
they
sir.
didn't need as many pilots. But then they had us all down there for school, and there were 6 blacks in my class. And the day we went to the little building to get our equipment, our helmets and our flight suits and our
Yes,
gear,
sir.
there was a black guy that was handing the equipment out to us. And he looked at us and they said, "There's 6 of you." And we, yeah, so? And he said, "There's never been that many blacks in one class
My
before."
God, 6.
And we went, okay. And then we're talking about a class of 50,
Yes, sir.
50 people. But then what he said to us was, 5 of you won't make it.
My God.
And
Now,
when
wh-
he said that, that was enough of an impetus for all of us.
Yes, sir.
And we worked together, we studied together, we helped each other, and all 6 of us graduated.
Praise God.
We'd like to think we would have worked that hard anyway.
Yes, sir.
But him saying that really kind of pushed us over the edge for that year to make sure that we all graduated.
Man, I've got to tell you, when I talk about inspiration and what he just said, recently I received a call from Jason Gines. Now let me tell you who Jason Gines is. He was the president of a group that we had of teenagers called the Generation Rap Youth Advisory Council, and these were all high school students. On February 13th, 1995, which was the second Monday in February, these teenagers came to a meeting and they were upset. What is the upset? Why? And they had represented several different schools who were not celebrating Black History Month. And they said, "Mr. Boyd, we've got to make some signs. We've got to protest. And they went on. Jason Gines was the young man who was the president of the group. And he said, "Well, let me tell you what we're doing." And I think there were 4 black males at Pembroke Hill. He said they got together and decided to wear a suit to school every day. They decided that they were going to answer every question that any instructor asked before anybody else. They were going to turn in all of their assignments, not only on time, but impeccably. And that was one of the things. Well, imagine, this is 2025. I remember February 13th, 1995. It was that inspirational. But now imagine, I wish he were listening right now, for Jason and those others. This is military service. These are adults. I just don't know how you conjured all that was necessary for you to get together and to do that well for that long.
Because the school is a year long.
Yes, sir.
I mean, and it's very
Come on.
intricate to all the things we had to learn. But you were asking about, let me give you one other example.
Yes, sir.
When I got to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I was a brand new, still a second lieutenant. So, but I worked there. After my first year, you have to get your efficiency report. So you get called into the office, and the commander
Yes, sir.
sits down and tells you how you're doing. He told me I was doing a great job, one of the best lieutenants he had, but unfortunately, he would not be able to give me the highest rating. And I just kind of looked at him. It's just he and I in the room.
Yes,
And I
sir.
just kind of looked at him and said, "What do you mean?" He said, I can't give you what I would give another lieutenant."
Thank you.
The shock that, nobody's ever told me anything like that
Thank
before.
you
So then I
very much.
decided I was going to overcome him.
Okay,
I decided on my own that I was going to overcome him.
come on.
And I did.
Yes, sir.
Or else I wouldn't have stayed in as long as I did.
Yes, indeed.
Because remember, the military is an up-or-out system. You either get promoted or you have to leave.
I see.
And it only takes one that's not true, one mediocre efficiency report to stop your progress,
Yes, sir.
especially during peacetime.
Now imagine that his mother, Vashti Murphy Matthews, served during World War II and what they collectively had to go through. I would imagine, and I want to be careful how I say it because I'm not asking you to be less than humble, but I would suggest, and you can confirm, your mother must have been extremely proud as you promoted and kept on going.
My mother and my father.
Come on.
My father served in the Coast Guard in World War
Yes.
II in the South
Okay.
Pacific. So both of my parents were influenced my going into the military.
Yes.
And unfortunately, my mother passed in '81.
Yes, sir.
So she was only around for 7 years of my military service.
I see.
But my father came to every promotion.
Wow.
When I made captain, he came to Fort Bragg. When I pinned on major's leaves, he came to the Netherlands, to
Come
Holland.
on. Wow.
And when I was coming up for lieutenant colonel, I was getting promoted while I was over there.
Yes, sir.
And he was going to come to that, and he was starting to get a little sick then.
I see.
And I told him, I said, "You do not need an 18-hour plane ride
My
for
God.
a 15-minute ceremony." I
Yes,
said,
sir.
"We'll videotape it and send it to you."
Outstanding. Yes, that is fantastic. So as you reflect on your career and look at the evolution of the armed services and race relations and progress in the United States of America, would you consider yourself to be pessimistic, optimistic, or are some concerns that greet you as you look around?
I try to stay optimistic.
Yes, sir.
I really, really try hard to stay optimistic.
Yeah.
It's difficult right now
Okay.
with everything that's going on. I don't really understand. Well, I guess I understand it. I don't like it.
Yes, sir.
The making the military a political
My
ploy.
God.
We serve
Come on.
whoever the president is.
Yes, sir.
And not half the time we don't know who it is.
Thank
because
you.
We're deployed someplace
Thank
and got
you.
other things to worry about. But making the military a political arm it's just depressing
Okay.
to me.
Yes, indeed.
It's just difficult to see how that's happening everywhere.
When did you leave military service?
I retired from the Army in '98,
Oh, my God.
and then I went
Okay.
to work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I worked for them for 20 years.
Yes.
And then retired again.
Now, as you travel, if there are those who would ask you to present to young people as you are doing today for us on this particular program, do you find yourself, for instance, lecturing to a group, holding rap sessions, doing interviews like this, or are you post-active duty pretty quiet?
I've been pretty active
Thank you.
recently,
Thank you.
mainly because of the 688.
Oh, man.
Once everybody found out that I had a family member that was actually in the unit, then
Yes.
everybody, wants to hear about it. The problem is, my mother and we are creating a organization now to find more descendants. I think right as of now we've
Ooh.
only found maybe 100 or so other descendants. Well, there were 855 women in the unit, so we know there are other descendants out there. So we're trying to find them. But what usually happens is I get asked, did my mother talk about it? Did she tell you? My mother didn't talk about it.
Okay.
And I'm one of 5 children, so I thought, maybe it was me because I'm the 4th of 5. So I have my older brothers and sisters, and I asked them. No, she never talked about it.
Okay.
We knew she was in the Army. We knew she went to Europe. That was about it.
The interesting thing for me, and by the way, Louis George Walker and DeQuay Wilson, please, as we look at each other, I don't see you, so come right on in when you have a question and or comment. But what is interesting to me where that is concerned is I'm going to use the term blessed. I was blessed to perform in Vietnam in 1971 with USO shows.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned those helicopters, we flew in helicopters in that big 131 and even the general's jet and all of that. But the knowledge of our history, particularly black history in the military, was not celebrated, and certainly where schools are concerned was not emphasized.
No, that is true. I agree.
So that there might have been an absentee period because it wasn't something that was celebrated. But when we and others like us found out about the 6888, that was just awe-inspiring to know that that existed. So what will the organization do other than observe at the time?
Well, what we have created a mission and a vision.
Okay.
And we're trying to create a 501c3. But the goal is to find more descendants and continue to advertise the fact that the 6888 existed, what they did, and what their contribution to the United States was. The movie, I thought, did a good job of that.
Good.
There's a couple of Hollywood things in there,
Sure,
but every
sure.
Hollywood, they have to Hollywood up a little.
Yes,
couple
sir.
of things. But the interesting thing is, most people, when they found out my mother was in the 6888 and they asked me about the movie, the one thing that normally comes up is when Charity Adams says, "Over my dead body," when she tells the general that he can fire her over her dead body, and that happened.
Oh,
That's real.
that
Charity
wasn't,
Adams.
they didn't Hollywood that.
That happened. That happened.
Now, it is very difficult to imagine that someone would have that courage, but we are acutely interested in the true response
Yeah.
to that.
No, that there was some, I think the business at the end of the movie, that was a little bit Hollywood. But when Charity
Sure.
Adams told him, "Over my dead body,"
Yes, sir.
that happened. 3 years ago, several of us took a tour. We got to fly over to Europe.
Yes, sir.
Because when the 6888 came into Europe, they went into Glasgow,
Oh,
and then they went down to Birmingham, and that's where the King Edward School was.
okay.
And so 3 years ago, we went over, and we went to Glasgow to see where they came ashore. Then we went down to the King Edward School, which in the movie you see it's old and dilapidated. It's all been redone now.
Yes, sir.
It's a flourishing school now, and they had a presentation for us while we were there from some of the students when we got there.
Yes,
and then
sir.
we went down to Birmingham and met the mayor of Birmingham. Had high tea with the mayor and his wife.
My God.
And then,
But you're not talking about Birmingham, Alabama.
no, we're talking about Birmingham. It's not Birmingham, it's Birmingham.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And then I don't know if a lot of people realize it, but also just outside of, there's a small town not far from there, and they renamed a street for Charity Adams.
Now,
And they waited until we came over so we could be there when they did it.
wow, outstanding.
So the mayor was there, and they had a band, and I mean, it was
Yes, sir.
It was well done. So then we went down to Normandy and went to Paris. So every place that the 6888 went, we followed them for that week that we were over.
That is outstanding.
It was pretty fascinating.
I will say something that you will be hearing for the first time, but I want to apologize to DeQuay and Louis George Walker, because I'm a civilian and I have repeated this, forgive that. but I was in an R&B singing group. There were 5 of us. We all taught school, so we called ourselves the Teacher's Edition. And we were doing a Motown review type USO shows. Tokyo, Okinawa, Guam, the Philippines, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand. I will ask this question of you for something that we discovered. And by the way, one of the reasons that we admire you and your kin, as it were, so much, is we were there for 2.5 weeks. When I think of TDY for 13 or 14 months, going out in the bush and not knowing whether you and your comrades will come back, have to give you all kinds of plaudits for that. But my question is, in the little time that we spent outside of the United States of America, we found that in many, if not most instances, as a black singing group, we were received more kindly outside of our own United States of America.
Yes.
and in your travels, and by the way, we would be remiss perhaps if we did not say, certainly we had white colleagues who were comrades and friendly and worthy of our thank you as well. But as you negotiated it, I have to believe that 24 years is longer than 2.5 weeks. I don't have to convince anybody of that. How did you deal with that?
Well,
I mean, that's a long time.
Fortunately for me, I missed Vietnam because I came in after it. So
Yes, sir.
I didn't have to.
That's right,
I
74.
didn't, but there was still, I mean, I was in Egypt in the Sinai for a year.
My God.
And in, in the summertime when it's 130 degrees, and yeah, it's a dry heat, but 130 degrees is 130
Thank
degrees.
you very much.
But the interesting thing, to go back to what you were talking about as far as being treated overseas, when I was stationed in the Netherlands, it was a brand new unit. So we were the very first Americans in this little town in northern Holland. So we went out of our way to behave ourselves.
Yes, sir.
We didn't want to be the ugly Americans coming
Thank
in.
you.
And they treated us beautifully.
See,
And they didn't care what color you were.
my God.
We had female soldiers. We had
Yes.
the military is a melting pot, so you got a little bit of everybody.
Yes.
They embraced us.
Good.
It was fantastic. And my daughter just went back over there last week because she's an Army brat.
Yes.
So she wants to go around to see all the places that she lived.
Yes.
So she just went over there with her mother to see the house that we lived in because she was only 4 years old then.
Yes. and it's very interesting that you say that, because from time to time, Wanda and I look at game shows on TV and you win prizes. And sometimes those prizes are trips for you and yours too. And when I hear them say a trip to Vietnam,
Yeah.
and think about the way it was when I was there.
Something, isn't it? Yeah, it's something now. I
Yes, sir.
haven't been there, but everybody I've talked to and read about, when you read
Yes.
about it,
Oh,
it's
my God.
thriving.
Yes, sir.
It's thriving today. So
Without a doubt. I'm going to ask Louis George Walker to give information about being able to listen to this program and others on KUAW, after which Sister DeQuay Wilson will give our break announcement, and then we want to come back and get contact information from you if that's appropriate.
absolutely.
All right.
All right, I want to thank you for listening to KUAW Radio, and you're listening to the Carl Boyd Show, which broadcasts every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m., and you're listening on KUAW Radio, which stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. You can pick us up on Facebook, YouTube, well, not on Facebook right now, but we'll be back shortly, on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can also listen to us on Bluetooth radio stations if you have the Get Me Radio online radio box, the TuneIn app, and My Radio Tuner. You can also, if you have a smart speaker, go and tell your Google or Apple's phone to play KUAW Radio, and we will come up. Siri knows who we are. So be sure and check in. You can also listen to our show on KOJH, Kansas City's original jazz house, broadcasting at 100.5 in Kansas City, Missouri. So there's a lot of ways you can pick us up, a lot of ways that you can hear KUAW, and we thank you for joining us today.
And now I would like to remind our 7th through 12th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. Yes, we do say organization, on purpose, with purpose. Stoots for Boots. Your essay title will be Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school who can be absolutely anyone, administrator, coach, whomever. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Wave Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please submit entry or inquiry to academicpatriotism@gmail.com. That is academicpatriotism@gmail.com. Now back to our host, Carl Boyd.
And if I were one of those students and knew Roger Matthews, I would write an essay. And if I did, it would certainly involve your military career. But in terms of now, if you would give contact information, what kinds of things do you see students asking about, and what do you want them to know at this point in your career, as it were?
Well, the first is keep your grades up.
My God.
I mean, I
Come
can't
on.
tell you how many times I've had to tell people that in school, they think that, well, I'm learning this or that, and I won't be able to use this information. That's it. You know, you don't know that yet.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
Keep your grades up. Pay attention. You know, you're learning it for a reason. It may not be apparent to you today, but it will be apparent to you sooner than you think.
You make me think of two things before I ask again for that contact information, and these two things come to mind. One is that what you think is irrelevant today, live long enough. And the likelihood is that it will be relevant in some respect at some point. But the second thing that I so appreciate about what you said is when you say be excellent, you did not say if you can.
No, not at all.
Come on with it.
Not at all. I mean, for me, as I discussed earlier, there were a couple of times when I was kind of pushed.
Come on.
But I mean, I did have the wherewithal based on the people I was surrounded myself
Yes,
with
sir.
and my family, that I was not going to. And I guess I shouldn't couch it that way, but I said when that officer, my commander
Yes.
told me he couldn't give me the highest rating.
Come on.
I just looked at him and I said, I will overcome you.
Come on.
You know, now my career could have ended that day.
Yes, sir.
But he knew
Come on.
it was just he and I
Yes,
in
sir.
the room.
Yes, sir.
And he shook his head like, I understand what you're saying.
Thank you very
So
much.
he didn't hold it against me. He didn't change the rating, but I did overcome him.
Now, that is so extremely important for young people to understand, because let me ask Louis George Walker, if I might. This is the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, and not only mentoring and tutoring, but certainly teaching. But please, if you would, Brother Louis George Walker, let us know the kinds of things academically that are treated here.
Well, yes, at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, we work with students of ages from 5 years old through 18.
Come on.
And they can get help or they can accelerate in math, reading, science. We also have a extracurricular program in technology where they can be part of a robotics club. We have a Lego robotics team and a Vex robotics team where kids learn some of engineering, learn how to work together as a team and to compete together. So we work with your kids. You can enroll your students online. Go to the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center on the web, and you should be able to pick us up there. and we'd love to have new students of all types come in to learn what it is to apply yourself to compete at some of the highest levels.
And how do they contact W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center to enroll?
Yes, you can pick us up on Facebook if you go into Du Bois, D-U-B-O-I-S, Du Bois LLC, and you can also put that in on just a Google search and you will get it. Du Bois LLC, Du Bois Learning Center in Kansas City, Missouri.
Louis George Walker,
Yes.
was there ever a point at which, when somebody wanted to introduce robotics, when the term science, technology, engineering, and math was presented to you, was there ever a point at which you shrugged your shoulders and said, what, with these kids?
No. As a matter of fact, we were at a competition one time, and one of the instructors, well, he was a representative, I think, from one of the robotics companies. But he came and he wasn't talking to our kids in general, but he was talking to me.
Yes,
so,
sir.
But he says, all these kids here aren't going to be engineers,
Right.
and stuff. They're all going to be engineers. And I told him, I said, which ones?
Thank you. Thank you.
Point those out and stuff, because I don't know who is going to be or who's not
Yes,
going to
sir.
be. They've got an interest. And if they've got an interest, then that, you may not be an engineer, but you may be a technician. You may be a lot of different things.
Yes.
That still you can learn something from it.
My God.
I remember when I was in high school, I wanted to be a race car driver.
Yes.
My biggest thing was take auto mechanics, learn everything about a car, and ended up in telecommunications. But when I went to take the test, what helped me get on with AT&T at that time was, I didn't know, but the phone company in general ran off of DC electronics, a battery to ground thing. Same thing that an automobile runs on. So when they got to ask me questions on the test, I would answer them. Guys said, "You know a lot about this DC?" I said, "Just the way a car runs." and got in there. So 43 years later, it was a big help.
See, I love this discussion because when I went to junior college in Chicago, Illinois, I was singing at a nightclub, and I was in the drama club, and I wanted to go into singing and acting. I was not even going to go to a 4-year college, and a gentleman, Dr. Bob Brazil, wanted to find out if I was interested in joining a fraternity. I said, I don't know. I didn't know a lot about fraternities. I went to a smoker. Willie Davis, who played for the Green Bay Packers, was the Kappa man who spoke. I got interested and ended up going to a 4-year college, and it was Chicago Teachers College because you couldn't beat $20 a semester. So I ended up going to a teacher's college, and instead of singing and acting, I was a teacher. But that's all right, because when I teach English, I am going to get a drama club and teach speech and drama, but they needed a science teacher. And I ended up teaching 7th and 8th grade science. Here in Kansas City, Missouri, when my wife and I left to Arizona and came back, I was at Benjamin Banneker Charter Technology, and they needed someone to teach robots. Now, I'm only saying that to confirm what Louis George Walker and Roger Matthews are saying, and that is just go in ready to meet the challenge. You might have to study in a different way. You might have to study longer. You might have to get some help.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, you're going to do this. And now, when you talk about those 6 of you, you said?
5.
Those 5.
Oh, you talking about 6 in flight school?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 6.
Those 6 of you, you were on that end of the equation. But now, being someone who is recruiting others, who is bringing others in to whatever the task might have been, how did you find motivating others behind you?
It depends.
Okay.
The interesting thing of the 2 years that I did recruiting for the Army,
Yes, sir.
it was actually, that was probably the hardest job I ever had.
Okay.
Because it was
Wow.
the mid '90s. Fortunately, it was peacetime, but relative
Yes, sir.
peacetime in between the big wars. But the question was, how do you motivate these kids to do
Yes.
that? The kids that already, most of the kids already had it in them.
Okay.
You know, their
And
parents.
some didn't know it.
And didn't know it until until we tested them. Because first thing you have to do before we can put them in the Army is they have to take what's called the ASVAB. They have to take a test,
Yes,
and
sir.
then they have to take a physical.
My God.
And the ones that the better you did on the test, the more opportunities there were for you to get
Yes, sir.
into the robotics and the computers and whatnot. But even if that individual didn't have the skill set to be an engineer,
Okay.
there are other things they could do
Yes, sir.
that are just as important.
Come on.
You know, they may or may not pay as much, but in the military, pay is driven by rank and length of service, not by
Wow.
what the job is. So if you're a sergeant, whether you're an engineer or a flight engineer or a cook,
Yes, sir.
if you're a sergeant E5, your pay is the same.
There you go.
You know, and it used to really bother me as a pilot and being in command of other pilots, because I would see some of these pilots talk down to the young soldiers. There was one instance, there was a soldier. His job was refueling.
Okay.
That's his job.
Okay.
Take the hose, put it in the side of the helicopter, fill
Yes,
the
sir.
helicopter up with fuel.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Sounds easy. There's a lot more to it than that, but it sounds easy.
Yes,
And
sir.
they were talking down to him. I had to remind these pilots
Yes.
that if that little private over there doesn't put that fluid
Come
in your
on.
aircraft,
Come on.
you're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
so you
you.
might want to. I'm not saying you need to go over and thank him. You know, he's doing his job, but acknowledge that he has done his job. He's done it well, and you're able now to do your job.
Thank you very much. That is so important, and it is very important in today's world, because we are experiencing a time in 2025 when there are young people whose backgrounds and histories are being denied them.
Yes.
And that is unfortunate, and they need. And by the way, if I were introducing you in a public forum, would I say Lieutenant Colonel Matthews, or how would I introduce you?
Well, it depends on the audience. If there's a military slant to it,
Yes,
then
sir.
I would be Lieutenant Colonel
Yes.
Roger Matthews, U.S. Army, retired.
Okay, Lieutenant Colonel. Now, we're talking about the fact that there are those who can rise, in some cases, beyond heights that they knew they could attain. But as it relates to black male rank of lieutenant colonel, how ordinary is that in one of the 5 services?
Well, the Army is the largest service.
Okay.
You know, and so there are more opportunities in the Army
Yes, sir.
than it would be, and the Marines, actually, now there's a Space Force, which that's a whole nother subject.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
both of those are very small. The Marines it's a very
Yeah.
small organization compared to the Army.
Yes, indeed.
And so there are more opportunities. I was offered a commission, a Marine commission, when I was in college. I didn't take it because they couldn't guarantee flight school.
Oh.
I wanted to go to flight school, and,
Yes,
and the
sir.
Marines said, well, we'll take you in, and you might go to flight school, you may not.
Oh, no.
But the Army said, no, we already paid for you to get your private pilot's license. We're sending you to flight school.
Now,
So, yeah.
thank
So
you
there
very
was-
much.
Yeah. So that was a no-brainer for me.
if someone wants to contact you, how do they get in touch?
You want the email address?
Just the best way, most convenient way to contact you. If, for instance, during the summer school, they have a number of different programs, not only during the week, but on weekends, where they have guest speakers come in. And if you were asked to come in as a guest speaker, just in terms of military history, and of course, the 6888 will come up, what would be the proper way to contact you?
Well, email would probably be the easiest.
Okay.
And you want me to give it to you?
You can just say it, and then we'll make sure
Okay,
that.
that would be RMATT27157 @ AOL.com.
Okay. So that is,
And,
yes,
And one other, when I talk about, the family and all of that,
yes.
my great-grandfather founded a newspaper in Baltimore, which is still in existence, the Afro-American newspaper. And all of us had to work there growing up. So, I mean, you know, so all my cousins, all my sisters, and there were 17 first cousins on that side of the family, my 2 brothers and 2 sisters. You all worked at the Afro as we were growing up in different jobs. We had to learn the different pieces of the business. It's still in existence today. We still publish every week. And the reason I say that is because we have an archive. And we're in the process now of putting the archives in such a, actually you can get to it now. So you can see all the old papers. So what happens is
Wow.
when people are doing research and they're asking about what happened in 1924, you know,
Yes,
whatever.
sir.
A lot of that information is in our archives, and we make that available to people. We're getting ready to move into a new building right now, and that's where the archives are gonna come
Yes,
with
indeed.
us, because it's all, so we're just getting it all digitized. I mean, but the point is, we didn't have a choice.
Oh man,
You
it
know,
sounds like it.
We, you know, and that was good, because
No
it gave
doubt.
us, it gave all of us a breadth of knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Of multiple things. You had to. My very first job at the Afro was on the switchboard.
My God.
Believe it or not, Saturday morning from 9 to 1 every Saturday morning.
There
I
you
worked
go.
the switchboard. You know, back in the old days, we had the little plugs and they had to stick it in. That's how long ago we're talking about. You know, and then you worked your way through advertising, through the actual. We had our own printing press. We were one of the few
Yes, yes.
papers that had our own printing press. So you had to learn how all that worked, and then
Yes.
you worked your way up to editorial.
This is absolutely magnificent. And by the way, I did mention that Brother Matthews and I belong to the same fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. I'm from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. Robert S. Abbott, who happened to be a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, started the Chicago Defender newspaper.
Okay.
So there's something in common
Okay.
there. But this is one thing that the young people who work with a Louis George Walker could benefit from learning. Back in the day, we're outside in Chicago, Defender, and we're selling the paper of a Chicago Defender that's delivered to the doorstep, and it was a weekend paper. Technology has changed some of that.
Yeah, I was a paper boy.
All right, so you know what I'm
I was,
talking
yeah,
about.
and you know, because in those days the Afro was published twice a week. It came out on
Yes.
Tuesdays and Fridays,
Okay.
and so you know, you know, being in the family didn't save you from being out there in the elements, delivering the paper.
Absolutely, and Chicago Defender was a weekend paper, so neither of them was every day. Now, I can anticipate the response from Brother Walker, from Brother Matthews, when I ask, as it relates to delivering information, how much has that changed since that paper was founded?
Oh, I mean, it's a whole different. It's
Oh,
everybody.
yeah.
It's a,
It's changed tremendously. You guys, when you talked about the paper out there, the call paper of Kansas City, it used to be
Yes.
a paper boy with them.
There you go.
They went door to door. I take that back. I wasn't a paper boy with them. We had a young entrepreneur at school by the name of Maynard Harvey, who was doing the paper. He was the paper boy. He hired me
There you go.
to work with
you
him and stuff. Because I look back later, I said, how'd you end up hiring somebody and you was the paper boy and stuff? But that was our entry into work, you know.
Yes.
Getting up in the morning on Friday, it was every Friday that the call came out, and you go out and you sell the paper. You had a route.
taught you discipline,
Yeah, you had to be there. You had to do what you had to do.
and there
stuff.
were no excuses.
No,
Wow.
and no weather delays, none of that
Weather
stuff.
delay. But see, that's what's interesting is we come across the whole. You know, you have the whole black-white thing.
Yes, sir.
But then we have a lot of people that have difficulty dealing with having a boss that's a woman.
Wow.
My mother had 4 sisters. All of them worked at the paper.
My God.
At some point, and several of them were my bosses
Yes,
as
sir.
I was growing up. and it's, I'm not pushing capital punishment or anything, but any of your aunts could smack you. You acted up.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't just your mother that could smack you.
Yes, sir.
Any of your aunts or uncles could smack you.
Yes, sir.
In those days. So it was really a discipline thing. You knew
Yes.
to behave yourself.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, that's just the
Absolutely.
way it was.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because at my age and our age, we talk about the evolution of cultural specifics as it relates to family then versus family now. And one of the reasons that adults in our families and our communities have the moral authority to discipline us is because they also showed care for us in the way they set examples, in the way they behaved. You were not going to come into a setting with adults using profanity in front of us.
Or wearing a hat.
Wearing a hat.
You come inside, you take your hat off.
You take your hat off.
She's laughing at me.
Talk about it, Duquay.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm really enjoying the conversation because I realize that I was one of the first generations to really kind of experience any of the freedom. So to sit back and listen to some of the things that you all are talking about
Ooh.
really means something to me when I think about how far disconnected from the struggle the current generation is. So I'm just sitting back listening to I'm just enjoying the conversation. So.
Now you're suggesting that you're younger than we are. Is that
Just a little bit.
just a little bit? I mean, but it is well when we get an opportunity to even have young people listen and hear what we're saying. And I'll tell you why. And in one sense, I don't blame them. There are some young people who would suggest they're tired of hearing that the older generation always talk about if you get out there and get a switch, make sure you get one big enough or I'm going to get it.
We've all been there.
If your teacher hit you. See, nowadays, somebody comes home and says the teacher hit them, they got a jail sentence or they got a fight with a parent. Our day was if the teacher hit you, the parent says, what did you do? Things have changed, so I can understand young people tiring of hearing those kinds of things. But if you had a particular, in as much as we're coming down to the end of the program, message that you felt our young people really needed to hear today, and I love the fact that you started out talking about the pursuit of excellence with no hesitation about their ability, because they can, this military gentleman is letting you know, oh, you can do it.
You can do it. You can do it. You just have to make up your mind to do it.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's skills are different.
Yes.
Everybody's ability to learn different things is different. The hardest part for me, and I'm sure for even the kids today, is what do I want to do?
Wow.
Coming through high school and you're getting to the end of high school and you go, see, in my case, in our family, you went to high school and you went to college.
Yes, sir.
There was no gray area in
Okay.
between. You went to high school and you went to college.
Okay.
And since most of us, and my grandfather was on the board of trustees at Morgan State, so most of us went to Morgan. I mean, that's just what you did in those days. There's a lot more opportunities now, but it still starts with the individual. What do you want to do?
Come on.
And I was listening to what you were saying. My son, when he was coming up, he went to KU for his first year. He wanted to go to engineering school. He's going to be an engineer.
Yes.
After that first semester, he said, "This is not for me." So at least he figured it out
Yes,
early
sir.
and
Exactly.
stopped wasting money.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he's doing fine now. But I mean, the thing is, the other piece of it is going to high school, and it's interesting because I was talking to one of my next door neighbors. I live in Lenexa, and I was talking to my next door neighbor, and their daughter was home from school.
Yes.
And she goes to K-State, and she came over, saw me cutting the grass, came over and said hi, and thanked me because when she was in the
Oh.
11th grade,
Wow.
she was getting bored,
Yeah.
and wanted to party and hang
Yeah.
out with her friends and all that.
Okay.
And she was asking me about it, and this is about 5-6 years ago. And I said to her, I said, well, you better be glad you're not my daughter. And she just kind
Uh-oh.
of looked at me, and what do you mean? I said, because I am not interested in your happiness in the 11th grade.
Wow.
You know, the 11th grade is the grade that they look at for college applications.
Yes,
they don't
sir.
look at the senior year.
Yeah.
I mean, they look at it. But
Yes,
the
sir.
11th grade
That's
is
right.
the key. I said, so as I told my daughter and my son, I am not interested in the least bit in your happiness
My God.
this year. Now, when you get to be a senior and you've got all your prerequisites done and you've written all your essays to go to college, you can party as much as you want
My
within
God.
reason.
Yes, sir.
But this year, in 11th grade, I am not interested in your happiness.
My God. Well, let me say, and by the way, we just have a few more minutes, so if either of you have a comment and or question, please get it in, because many people will be contacting you eminently interested in the 6888 because there's been that kind of publicity for it. But I will say that while they have that interest from you about that, they have an advantage in you because of your demand for excellence. But please, either and or both.
Well, one thing, can I say real quick about the
Please.
6888? Anybody, if you ever get a chance to go to Fort Leavenworth and see the monument there
Yes,
in the Buffalo
sir.
Soldiers Park,
Yes,
which was put in place by Colin Powell, by the way. He's the one that drove the train to get that done.
Can you imagine?
And what they've done is where the 6888 monument is in a perfect spot right in the middle,
Okay,
overlooking this pond. I mean,
Wow.
it's in a prime area.
that is so wonderful.
And it has the history of the 6888 on it.
Yes.
The head has Charity Adams, the commander, and on the back it's the names of all of the ladies that were in the unit.
Yeah, ooh,
Yeah, and it's free. I mean, it's outside.
Yes.
So if you ever near Fort Leavenworth get a chance, I highly recommend go see it.
thank you so very, very much. This is, by the way, Brother Roger Matthews, and we will be calling on you again. There are young people, I'm sure, who would love to hear from you, and particularly where that history is concerned. And so, as we call upon you, I think in terms of rap sessions, just in terms of major assembly programs, and I would suspect Brother Louis George Walker as it relates to technology.
Yeah, I was going to say we may have to try and tap him when we're showing our kids about drones. We have a drone class that we started. A young lady runs that, so you got some flight experience. So that's all you had to say. I said, "Oh yeah, he could."
Yeah,
probably
but
talk
in
to
those
him.
days we actually had to fly the aircraft ourselves. Now the aircraft flies itself.
There you go.
it's another kind of day. But please let us say a profound thank you for being with us today, and look to hear from us again.
My pleasure. I'm glad to meet you.
God bless you. Let me turn it over to, and by the way, we referred to KUAW Wilson as a real peach. She is the producer. She is the engineer. She is the announcer. She is the co-host. She's a real peach. And before you turn it over to me, well, I'll wait until you turn it over to me. I have something special I need to say.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our listeners, our guests, and our viewers for joining us on your Students for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, KUAW Wilson. Now, our host, Carl Boyd, will close with his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
Thank you so very, very much. But I have something special to say before I make that announcement. Today is one day after July 18th. Louis George Walker, July 18th was Wanda's and my 38th wedding anniversary. So I want Louis George Walker to come closer to the mic and tell me if there's any familiarity in what I just said.
Oh yeah, we just went through that ourselves, but that was in June the 21st when, and I have to stand corrected too, we had 38 years, but our anniversary was actually the 39th one.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. So I just want you to know that wonderful Wanda is
Right
at
there.
home, and happy anniversary, darling. And this is, to students across the USA, your Stoots for Boots message for this day, July 19th. Working together is survival. In battle, that's the rule. Though school teams compete as rivals, you must work together in school. This is Wave Your Grades on KUAW. Thank you so very, very much for our very special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Roger Matthews, retired. I am Carl Boyd, the gracious God and wonderful Wanda. I'm on my way home.